Okay, we're here at NAMM with Aaron Strang, and Aaron, you worked with Joni Mitchell on this beautiful new book, which you were just telling me has over 40 different tunings.
Right. This is everything, all her studio albums. Joni, we've cataloged well over 40 tunings, and that's not counting semi-redundant tunings that are just at a different pitch level. In other words, these are over 40 unique tunings. This book is many years in the making because of that. It was very complex and we had to work with a lot of people, but the thing that really got it happening was in the past year we had the opportunity to work very close and personally with Joni on the project. In fact, I presented Joni her copy yesterday.
Oh,
and so that was amazing.
What did she say when you?
She loves it. She loves it. And now, of course, she's been really closely involved, you know. So, and with an artist like Joni, that's critically important.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah.
And I'm curious, is when you're approaching her and you're saying, you know, are you saying here's what we think the song looks like, and does she come in and correct that?
Well, what she was able to do, she had a guitar tech years ago, and his job was to keep track of all those tunings and all that stuff. So the first thing we did was we worked with him, and we worked with him. It took years to sort out all there's about 165 songs in the book.
Right.
We sorted all that information out. And then we had to sort out all the chord fingerings because they're unique to every single tuning. And then we showed her a lot of that, and she was very happy. She certainly had opinions and stuff, and so, you know, we made revisions.
Right.
The most wonderful thing, though, working with Joni is she is such a pure artist that she discusses things from an artistic level of what she wants people to get from a book like this,
right.
What she would really like them to feel.
Right.
So it's pretty cool.
And so, I mean, when transcribing something like her work, I mean, you're not just trying to get the notes right, but you're also trying to get a feeling of the playing itself, and the voicings of her different.
Joni is, some people don't know, they think she's like a singer-songwriter who played chords, maybe chords in an altered tuning, but she played chords and she sang. That's not who she is. Right. In my opinion, having worked on this book for many years, her composition is much closer to Debussy. A classical approach. She hears sounds. She doesn't hear chords, she hears sounds, she hears moving lines. Sometimes they come together as chords you can label, and sometimes they do not. And then she hears melodies, and I hear her. To me, she is Debussy musically, and vocally it's like Miles Davis scatting over this thing. So yeah, when you put it on paper, you're confining it, you're labeling something that was never intended to be boxed in a narrow box. So a lot of discussion goes into what do we call it? Should we even call it something? Because if you put it in that box, you know, you can't always box this stuff.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, a lot of that goes into it. Some things will fit neatly into little boxes, and a lot of it won't. So you're always walking that line, especially like if we label things, people think things. If they see a label like A minor 9, that means something to them. Well, if all it was the confluence of moving lines, and we call it that, it's misleading. So you get into all this stuff. Because really, like I said, it's like more like working with a Debussy or you know, a Stravinsky than it is like working with a James Taylor or something. Yeah,
sure. Was there a favorite moment that you had working with her, or a favorite anecdote or story from working on this book that sort of comes to mind?
There's kind of a lot, I guess. I mean, favorite would just be talking to her. She loves to talk music, and she loves to talk art in general. Talking to her about what music is to her in general. She talks a lot about people like Miles Davis and Elvin Jones, and the ability of musicians to freely communicate with each other, and how beautiful that is when it happens. So I think those kinds of things, you know. Yeah.
You mentioned Elvin Jones. I noticed in the book you mentioned the importance of percussive quality to her playing.
Right.
Is that something that she's still really, you know, an aspect of her work that she's, you know, proudest of? Or I
don't know what she would say, but she talks a lot about rhythm, and she wants rhythm to be open a little bit. When she talks about Elvin Jones, she also talks about the early blues artists who, before we were confined to 12-bar blues and 4 beats to a bar, they very often just naturally might sing 5 beats in a bar.
Right.
And because they were accompanying themselves, it all just sort of worked.
Right.
And she likes that. And she talked about musicians, the rare musicians who she could freely phrase and could follow that and communicate that. Rhythm is definitely tremendously important to her, but I think part of it is the freeing from the conventional boundaries of rhythm that's really critical to her.
And so when you buy this book and you're a guitar player and you're saying, all right, here, I'm going to tackle this song, what are the chances that you're going to come out sounding like Joni Mitchell?
Well, I think you'll be able to come out playing the song. No one will ever sound like Joni Mitchell, ever, ever, ever. You know, she talked about that a little bit. In the early days, you know, well, is it in the tunings? Is that my secret? And then she realized, and it's totally obvious, when you compare her guitar music, some people think it's in the tuning. Well, there is a lot of that sound in the tuning, but no, it's not in the tuning. It's in her ear. It's in her head. If you compare her harmony, her chords in guitar music to her piano music, it's basically exactly the same. Right. She hears harmony. However that guitar is tuned, Joni Mitchell's coming out of it. It just doesn't matter. So it's not that. But it is very eye-opening to, yes, try to replicate the songs, explore the tunings, and see where that takes you. It's amazing. But really, when she plays the piano and she doesn't have the ability to reshuffle the keys on a piano keyboard, those same chords still come out of it. So it's very interesting like that.
Very cool. Well, thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.